I've been thinking about Rolex. I want to share with you the conclusions I've developed, sort of a mind dump of thoughts about Rolex, all from the perspective of a relatively new collector, me. I'm not sure if this relatively short video of adventures with time will draw criticisms or even interest. I don't intend this to be a rant or a watch review. Rather, me just expressing thoughts on the brand, the watches, and their recent model changes. Here goes. With all the news of the model changes in 2020 from Rolex, and more pronounced, the social media reaction and commentary to these changes, I've been thinking about what it means to me and my watch collecting. Now, be forewarned that I have no intention about talking specifics about the new and discontinued watches. Rather, my reflections of the Rolex brand, the Rolex watches I have been investigating, and what I think the Rolex role is in my collection. Hey, let's not be too serious. After all, this is just watch collecting. So, Rolex is a powerhouse brand with great watches and a long history. The brand to which virtually all other brands are compared. The watch gold standard. But the thing that strikes me most about Rolex these days is how they've been able to leverage the demand for their watches. That is, making those stainless steel sports watches hard to buy new. Rather than making and selling more watches, they seem to be limiting supply to create greater interest in these watches. And that brings me to my history with Rolex. Well, not a considerable history. If you've watched any of my State of the Collection videos, you know I have a vintage 1975 Datejust that was passed down to me. This watch obviously has sentimental value, but it is a bit small for me. It is what was called at that time a mid-size watch, just 30.3 millimeters in diameter. And while looking for my first mid-tier luxury watch, I considered Rolex. I'll leave a link in the description below and in the close of this video to those relevant episodes. Rolex makes some very iconic watches. In my search, I looked at the new Oyster Perpetual models, the Daytona, and of course the Submariner, and the Explorer, both 1 and 2. I really like the Explorer too. I visited every local AD in my area, and whenever I travel, therein lies the problem. I could not find any new Explorer 2s to try on my wrist. The best I could do was to find some pre-owned 5-digit Explorer 2s. I considered them, but wanted to see how they compared to the current 6-digit models. But in the last 8 months since I started this search, I've had no luck. Then there is my recent fascination with the Submariner Hulk. From what I've seen, I think they look great and a fun watch to wear. One that would fit well into many wearing scenarios. But forget it. I've never even been able to see a Hulk in person. That is the extent of my Rolex journey. Not too great, huh? So with all the anticipation, predictions, and discussion about the 2020 Rolex lineup, do I have any opinions? No. And here is where other watch collectors might disagree with me. Why should I care about the changes in the specs of the Submariner if I can't even try one on in an AD, let alone buy one new at retail? Why should I care that they've increased the case size by 1 millimeter, or that they've updated the movement, or that the lugs are thinner? I don't have a purchase history with a Rolex 8D such that they would pay me any attention. I don't have Rolex collectors as close friends such that I could even borrow a watch to try on or review. How can I become a Rolex fanboy if I can't get my hands on any of these watches? As I stated at the beginning, I don't intend this to be a rant. I understand the Rolex marketing plan. My point is that given this condition, the attainability of a Rolex sports watch to me is practically nil. Hence, my interest in Rolex tends to wane, to the point where I don't currently see any additional place for Rolex in my collection. I'll continue to monitor the goings-on of Rolex, but at a very high level. I'll continue to visit ADs as I come across them in my travels, but I have no functioning plans for Rolex at this time. What else can I do? Are you in a similar position? How do you address Rolex in your watch collecting? I'd like to know. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, on this channel, I'm trying to provide content that is of interest to fellow collectors. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you won't miss any new content. And here are Rolex related videos from me. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate your time, and I'll see you in my next video.